So decluttering isn't the only part of minimalism, but it can teach us a lot of valuable lessons about our relationship with our belongings. A large proportion of minimalists get decluttering wrong, and the risk of getting it wrong is that it can put them off of pursuing minimalism altogether, which is a shame because it can have such a positive influence on your life. So if you're a minimalist or if you're interested in adopting a minimalist lifestyle, then in this video I'm going to explain some of the ways that minimalists get decluttering wrong and what you can do about it. So the first way that minimalists get decluttering wrong is that they don't think about their declutter in advance. Some people just want to dive in and get started. And to be honest, this was me when I did my first major declutter. If I'd have known then what I know now, I would have spent more time thinking it through. And this is why it's important to plan your declutter. So do a walkthrough of your home. Write down each room and create subheadings for each area in that room. Make sure you include shelves, cupboards, and drawers. Then when it comes to decluttering, you can make sure that you've gone through every inch of your home and not left anywhere out. Another way that minimalists get decluttering wrong is that they don't change their spending habits. Decluttering is all well and good, but unless you address your spending habits, you're at risk of continuing to buy stuff you don't really need, only to accumulate even more clutter that goes unused. And I know this because I've been there myself. What you don't want to happen after you've decluttered is to fall back into the spending habits that built the declutter in the first place. So before you start decluttering, have a good think about your triggers to making purchases. Do you buy from a fear of missing out, such as a sale or a time-limited deal on certain items? Does your mood tend to dictate the amount of spending you do? Maybe you tend to spend more when you feel low in mood, or sometimes people even tend to spend more when they feel happy or excited because something good has happened in their life. Once you're aware of your spending triggers, you're in a much better position to notice them when they happen and not respond to them by making a purchase you might later regret. The next way in which minimalists get decluttering wrong is that they compare themselves to other minimalists. As the well-known quote goes, comparison is the thief of joy. Everyone is in different situations. We all have our own priorities and interests in life, and these can influence the things that we decide to keep and the things we decide to declutter. Some people might like to declutter a load of things all at once, whereas others might like to do their decluttering gradually. There is no right or wrong way, and I don't think it's helpful to try and force ourselves to declutter the way somebody else does if it really doesn't fit where we are in life. If we do that, the risk is that we might become overwhelmed or feel guilty that we're not progressing as much as we'd like to with our minimalism, and then we might give up altogether. By all means, take tips and inspiration from minimalists you admire, but don't feel that you're doing it wrong if you're not doing it the way that they're doing it. The next way in which minimalists get decluttering wrong is that they expect too much of themselves and the decluttering process. Based on my experience of decluttering, I'd like to offer you some lessons I've learned that hopefully will help to set some realistic expectations. Recognize that you probably won't get all your decluttering done in one go. I thought decluttering would be a one and done deal. I'd do it once and that would be it forever. Why I thought that, I don't know, but that's where my head was at. The reality is that decluttering is a lifelong process. Some of the things I chose to keep when I did my major declutter a few months ago have themselves now been decluttered because I've thought differently about them now than I did a few months ago. The things that we prioritize in life, our hobbies and interests, the clothes we like to wear, these things can all change over time. Therefore, whilst we might want to keep certain items at certain points in our lives, that doesn't mean to say we want to keep them forever. The next lesson I learned is that some things will be harder to declutter. And this is understandable because we form emotional attachments to our items. For example, I remember a few years ago, I had a t-shirt that I was really attached to and I wore it to death. Honestly, this thing had holes everywhere, but I loved wearing it, I felt good in it, and it was really hard to let it go. The t-shirt reminded me of good times in my life, and I think that's why it was so difficult to declutter it. But when I did finally throw it away, it was actually quite liberating and I didn't think of it at all afterwards. And talking of items that you might be unsure of decluttering, this is the next way that minimalists get decluttering wrong, which is they don't plan how to deal with unsure items in advance. When you declutter, you will no doubt come across items that you want to keep just in case. And I'm not saying it's bad to keep just in case items. I've kept them, and there have been items I've kept that I've needed in the future, and it's saved me money because I haven't had to go out and rebuy those things. However, the other side of this is that just in case items can stay that way for a very long time. I had lots of books and CDs that I kept just in case that I didn't use for many years. So ahead of your declutter, decide what you want to do with just in case items. What I found effective is to put these items in a container of some sort, whether it's a bag or a box, put them away for a month and then come back to them to see how you feel. I found this is far less stressful than putting pressure on myself to declutter those items there and then. When you review your items, ask yourself whether you thought about them during the period that they've been put away. Have your views about the items changed in terms of needing them just in case? How does it feel now to come back to them and think about decluttering them? And please don't let this video put you off decluttering. Decluttering can teach you a lot of lessons about your relationship to your stuff. And if you'd like to know the lessons that I learned from decluttering over 10 years worth of stuff, then check out the video that's on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.